that mostly like a messaging thing where you had to be more empathetic, so you couldn't just go out with a message you had, say, a week ago? Or was there like more to it? Because that sounds really interesting that you did a reset.
Yeah, I'd say both. Like from a messaging standpoint, there was a lot of thought going into how are we supposed to speak to our audience and consumers,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you have to remember that it's not just about selling a product. Like I think with us, uh, like pre-corona, right? Like anytime you build a brand is only as good as like the community that's built behind it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so on all three of our brands, my co-founders and I, we spent a ton of time like really cultivating the community. And I think there's like we just have an amazing relationship with the consumer. And so we have to remember that they're going through the exact same things we are. And
Right.
so what's like the right way to speak to the consumer going through that? And so that took a little while to work through. And then I'd say on the other end of things, on sort of the spend side, right? I'm sure a lot of other e-com brands saw this. We particularly saw this. Those first couple days when the lockdowns hit in the US, it got a little scary for a little while on the on the sales side, right? Like
Sure.
everyone was seeing their
Just
sales
spread out.
drop, everyone was seeing their ROAS drop on on the ad
Ad
side.
channels.
We had to adjust really quickly, right? And kind of taking things week by week, and obviously it's improved since then, and we can talk about that a little bit. But those are sort of the main things we were looking at.
Yeah, I mean, so one feedback I heard, and I think it's a little bit harsh, but could be some grain of truth, that this pandemic is kind of showing up businesses who had their processes done right, or the ones like it's kind of amplifying mistakes you may have made before, which is now just so much worse. So, like
Yeah,
these heavily VC funded companies which are just spending to high heaven without really a clear plan to profit, well, that just got way worse because now you don't really know how long your runway is because you don't know when the so it's really good to hear from you that like you guys were already
right.
pretty set on that front, right?
Totally. And personally, I mean, look, I do a lot of angel investing too. I don't personally understand what an ecom brand needs a bunch of money for, right? Funding wise, like if it's a high quality product, you've built a community around it, you may need a little bit of funding to get it up and running, right? Like we've self-funded all of our brands, and
Like
it
some
definitely,
ads maybe.
yeah, it needed capital, you need to buy inventory, you need to think about marketing, and there's some expenses that go with that. But some of these brands that are going out and raising crazy amounts of money just to acquire a customer at such a high cost of acquisitions in the hopes that like they're going to back into an LTV that
Hmm.
may or may not be there. I don't know. Me personally, everyone sort of has their own strategy on it. We, from the start, just thought about it a little bit differently. And we wanted the goal, like, and I have different co-founders on each of our brands, but the goal, I think, universally was when we start these brands, we have to get them profitable within 6 months or less.
Hmm.
And if they're not, we kind of need to assess the business and figure out, like, what are we doing wrong? Because, again, the reality is there shouldn't be that much cost of capital outside of like financing inventory. We're financing obviously marketing, but you should only be doing marketing in the beginning if it's positive, right?
Sure, like you're
So,
attracting a
so I don't know.
customer to.
That's my personal opinion. I don't know why everyone raised all this money, for ecom.